Yes, sir.
Can I start?
Yeah.
Okay, good morning, everybody. We're going to continue with the novella which we're reading, that is Untouchable by Mulk Raj Anand. So we've completed, we are on page 13 of the PDF. Okay? I hope all of you got the PDF. If you haven't, I'll send it. Okay, we're on page 13 of the PDF, towards the middle of the page. Okay? So it's a novel about the life, one day in the life of an untouchable, whose name is Baka. Okay? His name is Baka. So, now, it's a sensitive portrayal. It has a lot of detailed description of, the way Baka dresses, the work he does, his family, his house, even what he thinks. See, it's one day in the life of one untouchable, right? Now, these untouchables, as you know, they're called Harijans or Dalits, SC, ST, OBC, like that. So what is they're actually marginalized, they are shunned by society. Nobody knows. But here you have, quite a detailed description of one such person and his family, what he does. Okay? So, is it really that bad? Are they really that bad? Okay? So, just before this part of the novella, we see that Baka has just been woken up by his father. His father is the Jamidar of the sweepers. Sweepers, the work the untouchables do, things like sweeping the roads, cleaning the latrines, all the things which are avoided by the upper classes, okay, but which are necessary. Okay? So here you see, he's just been woken up by his father, whose name is Laka, and okay, we'll continue from that part. So Laka, the father of Baka, is waking up his son at around, let's say, 5:36. Okay? So here's what Laka says. Are you up? Get up. Oh hey, illegally begotten. Illegally begotten means is born out of wedlock. What do you call a child which is born out of wedlock? Illegally. You see, wedding is legal, it's recognized. Not only in the eyes of people, but also in the eyes of God, etc., etc. Illegally begotten, a bastard. Call them bastards, right? Anyway, this is the way that his father addresses his son, okay? And basically scold him, right? Because he wants Baka to be alert and up to the task which he has to perform that day, right? So why do parents scold us? Because we have to do some work. Why do teachers, this sort of thing? It makes us do something. It can be anything, right? It makes us work. If we think about it, we have to get something done, not merely react, right? So this is so this is every parent speaks to the child. Get up, oh hey, illegally begotten. Came his father shout again and stirred the boy to a feeling of despair. A feeling of despair, we've all felt it, a feeling of hopelessness. What did I do? Why do I deserve this? Isn't it? So it's a universal sort of, universal sort of experience. All of us have had it. A feeling of despair when our parents scold us. React. He thinks, he doesn't say. The bully. Baka exclaimed under his breath as he listened to the last accents of his father's voice die out in a clumsy, asthmatic cough. His father is asthmatic. You know what asthma is? It's a condition of where you cannot breathe properly. You need that, inhaler, right? So his father is old. It's very cold. Okay, and the surroundings are not exactly congenial. They're not exactly comfortable. It's a mud hut they're living in. His father is lying under a greasy quilt. Quilt is a blanket, greasy, unwashed, right? So the breathing is affected, right? So his father was shouting at his son, right? And then it dies off. Oi, clumsy, asthmatic cough. It dies. It fades away into a clumsy, asthmatic cough, right? Pitiable condition. Okay. He just shook himself and turning his back to his father with sheer cussedness, averted the darkness of the somber, crowded little room which seemed to envelop him with his father's abuse. So how does a Baka react? He thinks, my father's a bully. Nevertheless, in spite of his feeling of despair is feeling of hope, there's nothing you can do. In spite of this feeling, how does he react? Gets up and shakes himself. See, shaking. Right? If you do that feeling good, right? You feel better. Right? It's a simple, okay? Okay. You seen that reaction? This reaction. Why? No? See? Okay. He just shook himself and turning his back. No, turning your back is ignoring. Turning his back to his father for sheer cussedness. Cussedness is that feeling he's feeling. Right? Cannot say anything, cannot do anything, but feels really sheer cussedness. Averted the darkness of the somberness. So you imagine a mud hut with one window on the top, one door which is closed, and it's early morning. Somber, damp, dank atmosphere, right? Somber, crowded little room. Crowded means it's about 1/4 of the size of this room, his hut. And there is his father, there is Baka, there is his brother, there is his sister Sohini, and they're all sleeping. One room house means the kitchen is there, the bed, this bedroom, right? So, you see, a somber, crowded little room, which seemed to envelop him with his father's abuse. So the only thing he can think of in that house is his father's abuse. It's the only memory, right? He has at the moment, right? What does he do? He goes out. Where do you do your work? Unless you work from home, you go out to work. See, it's an advantage and a disadvantage. It's an advantage in the sense that our parents holding helps us to work. But it's a disadvantage in that it makes us feel really bad. That feeling of despair or whatever it is an advantage in the sense that it makes us think, makes us strong, so to speak, right? See, it's a sensitive portrayal what we are reading, right? In the life of one untouchable, right? Okay, he felt his bones were stiff with the cold. He felt the bone-chilling cold. It's entered his skin and bones were stiff, and the flesh numb with cold. Doesn't feel. If you pinch it, it's so cold. It's become numb. It become unfeeling, numb with the cold. For a moment, he felt feverish. See, that scolding has resulted. It's recording all this. So, okay. For a moment he felt feverish. It resulted in a physiological fever. Not only his father's scolding, but also the surroundings. Right? For a moment he felt feverish. A hot liquid trickled down from the corners of his eyes. He starts to cry. Involuntarily, the tears flow. Right? One of his nostrils seemed to be blocked and he sniffed there, trying to adjust his breathing to the congested climate of the corner where his face was turned. So, he's also got a cold. One of his nostrils seemed to be blocked, right? And he tried to adjust his breathing, right? To the congested. There are 4 people in that house, and he's in a corner of it, okay? And the air is not circulating. Any room must have ventilation. If you close all the windows and close, dark, and you'll suffocate. Right? This is the way he's feeling. Right? He felt his bones were stiff and his flesh numb with cold. A hot liquid trickled down from the corners of his eyes. One of his nostrils seemed to be blocked and he sniffed there. So he tries to clear it. Right? Trying to adjust his breathing to the congested climate of the corner where his face was turned. Climate. You've got a special climate in the corner of that house. Climate means it's universal, right? Atmosphere, climate. Okay, so this got a special climate there, right? So this is the description of the few moments. See, as I said in one of the previous videos, Mulk Raj Anand is an artist as well. Just sees, drinks it in with his self, emotions, thoughts, feelings, and writes it. You or I will also go. We go all around the city. We go all around the country. We watch nothing of this sort will ever. Right? Okay. His throat, too, seemed to have been caught. Constriction in the throat. Right? For as he inhaled the air, it seemed to irritate his trachea. As he inhaled that stagnant air, it seemed to irritate his trachea. Trachea is where it's here. This is the trachea. If you inhale stagnant, you just close the windows of the place where you stay for 3 hours, you feel like this. Right? And nearly choke him. Okay, so ventilation is, but he doesn't have ventilation. He began to swallow air. So, he had to swallow air to relieve his nose and throat. Detailed description, right? But when a breath of air pierced the cavity which was clogged, is clogged like with mucus. The other became impenetrable. So his nose gets blocked. See, when the air enters one nostril, the other becomes, right, impenetrable. It doesn't get, okay. A cough shook the inner tissues of his throat. Cough shook the inner tissues of his throat and he spat furiously into the corner. Right? Ready for the day's work, so to speak. That is why they advise us to wake up at 5, pray to God, listen to some shlokas. After washing our face and brushing our teeth and finishing our washroom. Okay? Have a bath also. rituals. Wake up at 6, wake up at 5, do all the cleanse yourself, wear tidy clothes, listen to some. These are all meaningful when you contrast it with this. Right? And also there are so many advantages of waking up early in the morning. It's when the poetry, some part of us awakes when the rest of us slumbers during morning time. Morning time is when we are most awake. Commonly people think that we are feeling drowsy in the morning time. But it's not so. If you look at the feelings, you'll see we are fresh. The darkness has more, brings its own advantage, no less than that. But as the day goes on, you feel somewhat, lethargic. But in morning time, it's not like that. So many advantages, you all know about this. When you contrast all those with this, you know what to do. You know what to do, but you should also do it. Right? Okay. Poetry awakens in us, all this. Gods themselves awake with morning time. See? And he spat furiously into the corner. Furiously. Okay, spat. Furiously. There's a difference. Okay. And it also determines the quality of the day. What sort of, we can plan what work we're going to do at this time plan. Right? See, our work is not done till our day is not done till the work of the day is done. One day's work, second day's work, 1 month, 1 year. See, like this. It all begins with early morning. It's what we learn from reading this. Right? He leaned on his elbow and blew his nose on a handkerchief under the carpet on which he lay. He's lying on a carpet. See, if you have a cot and you have a mattress, it's an advantage. Have a clean, light, airy, well-lit apartment is an advantage. You can do all this. Okay. By reading this, we know what the advantages and things are. Right? Then he fell back. And he falls back. Then he fell back onto the mud floor. His legs gathered together. See, his legs gathered together. He draws them up. He goes into the fetal position, like this. Shrunken under the thin folds of his blanket. His head buried into his arms, like this. Right? Is there any way to wake up? He felt very cold and he dozed off. So he goes back to sleep. Then his father, Ohe Bakya, scoundrel of Speaker's sweeper's son. Come and clean a latrine for me, someone shouted from without. Someone shouts from without. Come and clean a latrine for me. He's a cleaner of latrines. Means he has to manually lift, right? Baka flung the blanket of his body. Now suppose he had, hey Baka, want some tea, go back to sleep. If he had been treated like that, would he have done this? He flung the blanket of his body. Flung. Through. And stretched his legs and arms to shake off the half sleep that still clung to him, still drowsy. The half sleep that still clung, is holding on to him. And got up abruptly, suddenly got up, yawning and rubbing his eyes. For a moment, he bent, rolling the carpet and the blanket to make room for the activity of the day. Then, thinking he heard the man outside shout again, he hurried to the door. See, that's his work. A small, thin man, naked. A small small thin man, okay, naked, except for a loincloth, this is around the waist, stood outside with a small brass jug in his left hand. So they used to go to the toilet. He had a small brass jug full of water in his left hand, and he doesn't have any, okay, he's a Brahmin, right? A round white cotton skull cap on his head like this. A pair of wooden sandals on his feet. There's what do you say? These holy, they were the wooden sandals on his feet, and a thin apron of loincloth lifted to his nose, and holding it like this. Loincloth is holding it because that come and clean the drain for me, saying. It was Havildar Charat Singh. Havildar is in the army, cantonment. See, Baka is just outside the cantonment. Cantonment is where the British soldiers were housed, the barracks. Barracks, you know, the beds one above the other, soldiers' quarters. It's called It was Havildar Charat Singh, the famous hockey leader, Havildar, one of the divisions. The famous hockey player of the 36th Dogras Regiment. Dogras is the Nepalese Dogras Regiment. As celebrated for his humor, as for the fact which with characteristic Indian openness he acknowledged that he suffered from chronic violence. Havildar Charat Singh suffered from chronic piles. Piles is something that affects your excretory system, right? How did Havildar Charat Singh react? Whenever he reacted to it with his characteristic Indian openness. हाँ भाई, अभी मैं समझा characteristic Indian openness. He acknowledged that. और तू क्या फिकर कर? See, I don't know what the meaning of fikr is. I know why do you bother? Characteristic Indian openness that he suffered from chronic pipe. Okay. Again, see, this not just of the untouchable, all the cases like this. Nobody actually writes like this anymore. I haven't come across this. Okay. Why aren't the little latrines clean? Oh, here, rogue of a baka. Rogue is a scoundrel. Oh, here, rogue of a baka. There is no one fit to go near, so it's full. The pit is full. I walk all around. Do you know you are responsible for my piles? So the piles are because you do not clean the latrines. Right? Do you know you are responsible for my piles? I caught the contagion. Contagion is the virus, you know. I caught the contagion sitting on one of those dirty latrines. Blames Baka. Right? So, alright, Havildar ji, I will get one ready for you at once. Baka said cautiously, as he proceeded to pick up his brush and basket from the place where these tools decorated the front wall of his house. Now you are aware of the advantages you have. Where these tools decorated, that's the word used. The front wall of his house, the brush and the basket. He worked away earnestly, sweeping or doing whatever. He worked away earnestly. Earnestly is a great deal of seriousness. Quickly, without loss of effort. Does it naturally, right? Brisk yet steady. Brisk means quickly yet steadily. active application to the task he had in hand seemed to flow like constant water from a natural spring. You have a spring of water, Talakaveri, places like that, right? The spring seems to flow constantly. Like that, Baka works. Just as the spring flows effortlessly, naturally, without any effort, Baka worked. Sweeping, doing whatever work, right? His active application to the task he had in hand seemed to flow like constant water from a natural spring. Each muscle of his body, right? As he sweeps, you can see the replay. Each muscle of his body, hard as a rock when it came to play, seemed to shine forth like glass. It's dark. So you see, when he sweeps, when it comes into play, like when he twists his hand, it comes into play. It becomes hard as a rock and shines like glass, right? Reflects the sunlight. He must have had immense pent-up resources lying deep inside his body. Pent-up is stored. He must have had immense pent-up resources deep in his body. Where does it come from? From his father's holding. See, some spiritual visit must have had immense pent-up resources, huge pent-up resources deep in his body. For he rushed along with considerable skill, right? Okay? And alacrity from one doorless latrine to another. Okay? Cleaning, brushing, pouring phenol. What a dexterous worker. Dexterous is very able, skillful workman. The onlooker would have said. And though his job was dirty, he remained comparatively clean. Nothing of that came onto his clothes. He remained comparatively clean. He didn't even soil his sleeves handling the commodes. His sleeves. Nothing came onto his sleeves also. Cleaning the commodes. Sweeping and scrubbing them. A bit superior to his job, one would have said. So it's too, okay? Not the kind of man who ought to be doing this. Or he looked intelligent. He also looked intelligent, even sensitive. With the sort of dignity that does not belong to the ordinary scavenger. Actually a scavenger. Right? Does not belong to the ordinary scavenger. Who is, as a rule, uncouth and unclean. As a rule, the ordinary scavenger is uncouth, swearing, cussing, using bad language. Uncouth and unclean also. Okay, it was perhaps his absorption in the task. Now, you see, he is able to lose himself in the task. It's perhaps his absorption in the task that gave him the look of distinction. Or his exotic dress, however loose and ill-fitting, the clothes he wears are of the British Tommies, starched, cream colored, army tunic, Jodhpur pants. Jodhpur will come out like this, the balloon like this, right? So this is the sort of description, right? However loose, that lifted him above his odorous world. So that makes him lift him above his odorous. Odorous is, or all his friends, odorous. Havaldar Charan Singh, who had the Hindu instinct for immaculate cleanliness. Now come to the description of the Hindus. They have an instinct for immaculate, pure cleanliness. Was puzzled when he emerged from his painful half-hour in the retreat. He was puzzled. Half-hour he's been doing this. And caught sight of Baba. Here was a low-caste man who seemed clean. He became rather self-conscious. The prejudice of his twice born high caste real what? Really upper caste is doing what he does without, like it's a meditation. See, when you're meditating, you're not aware. You're only aware of the thought, you're only aware of the feeling, you're only aware of the self. He's working as though he's meditating. Right? So, okay. So, Havildar Charan Singh, he thinks, he becomes self-conscious. Am I the Hindu or is Papa? And he's supposed to be twice born also. These Hindus are supposed to be twice born. Once you're born from your mother's womb, next time you're born again, you become, next time you're born again, you become, young again. There's some procedure there. It's in the scriptures. He was twice born. Right? Twice born, high caste Hindu again stink. Now he is Havildar Charan Singh is the high caste twice born Hindu. He's self-conscious because he sees Baka, who represents the stink. But actually he's meditating. Even though he's on the slightest suspicion of it in Baka rising in his mind. He smiled complacently. Then, however, he forgot his high caste. Ironic smile on his face became a child. You're becoming a gentleman, O hey Baka. Where did you get that uniform? So Baka is wearing the uniform of the British domination. Okay? So we'll stop there for today. Okay? We'll continue. Thank you.